Shalom, shalom, Yasharal. I pray all is well. I want to talk about something tonight, as usual. I always want to talk about something. I just don't always get the opportunity. Before I do, all esteem, all honor, all praise, and all glory to the Most High, Abba Yahuwah, our wonderful Creator. I want to point out and confess something that I have been wrong about, misunderstood, and missed the mark on. And seeing that error has edified and brought me to a new level of understanding on something that is vitally important. Anyone that knows me, that listens to me, knows that I'm zealous for the Most High and for His Torah, His Word, and His Son, Yahusha, the Messiah. I've talked about in other videos about meeting my mishpachah. And for those of y'all that don't know what that is, it means family. For my family. And when I say that, I'm referring to those who esteem Abba Yahuwah, who delight in the Torah, and who are not afraid to admit it. I made a video a while back, a week or two ago, about a post that I had made on Facebook asking the question, who believes that the Torah, the law, is a curse, and that when the Messiah died, it had been done away with. I did that to edify myself and whoever would read it, and to make things evident. Things that I've seen for a long time and others have seen. The fact that the typical Christian, bless their heart, despises, basically. And, they don't say that, but the proof is in the pudding. They despise when someone calls the Most High by, His name, or the name that they have done their best to translate, to find. And they despise when they see someone who doesn't believe that the Torah hasn't been nailed to a cross. And why do I say that? I don't go around picking on these people. They approach me, they jump on my post, they troll. If I see them in person, if they know how I feel, they are usually itching to try and prove me wrong. And I'm not just saying that because this has happened once or twice. No, I'm not a troublemaker, one who stirs the pot. They would think that, but I'm not. They approach me, and this happens a lot, a lot. And when I say pretty much the same thing happens every time, uh, I would be lying if I said it wasn't that much. If I didn't say it happens almost every time. And I can't remember for certain, but I wouldn't be surprised if you went back through and could see every conversation I've had with a Christian about these things. I wouldn't be surprised if it was every single time that they approach me or someone who believes like I do. They state how they feel, and when facts are shown, scripture, they dance. They use like one verse, and I'll use a lot, and they'll dance around, and then when the truth comes out and they have nowhere else to run, they tuck their tail between their legs and they're gone. They'll disappear. It happens all the time. Or they'll tell you to shut up, and they expose themselves for being led by their feelings and not what's factual, what the scripture says. And they take everything out of context. And what I'm going to confess right now, I've, for a while now, have blowed the whistle, tooted the horn about the average T.O. Torah observant, someone that I would say is mishpachah, people who try to say Abba's name the best way they know how. They don't believe in fairy tales, yada, yada, yada. I've come to realize that there is a error in the majority's view of the T.O. people who claim to be Hebrew Israelites, call on the name of the Most High. And I am guilty of the same thing. Not to the extent that I see the Pharisees, those who sat in Moses' seat and read Moses, used the Torah against the people, held it over their heads. They preached it. They didn't live it, but they used the strictness of it against the people for their own benefit and made it to where it was a curse. I could understand how people would see it as a curse because of the way they conveyed it and displayed it to the people that they were supposed to be looking after, feeding their flock. I've seen a lot of the Mish, not all, but a lot of them, exposing themselves for having made their hearts calloused and pretty much into a stone. And I will tell you why. They are zealous in their, attempt to do things according to the instructions, to the Torah. But they are like these Pharisees who told Yahusha, the Messiah, they asked him, look, why do they do what is not right on the Sabbath? They were talking about Yahusha's buddies, the disciples, who were plucking heads of grain on the Shabbat, to eat. And the Pharisees said, why do they do what is not right on the Shabbat? And Yahusha said, have you never read what Daud did when he needed and was hungry? When he was in need and was hungry, he and those with him, how he went into the house of the Most High, while Abiathar was high priest, and ate the showbread, which is not right to eat, except for the priest, and he gave it also to those who were with him. And he said to them, the Pharisees, the Sabbath, the Shabbat, was made for man, and not man for the Shabbat. So the son of Adam is also master of the Sabbath, the Shabbat. I've seen and I've come to realize that a good deal of people in the Mish, Torah believing, Torah observant, are willing to lay aside love, compassion, consideration, patience to get technical, live by technicalities. They'll overlook love, which is just like when he said, you lay aside the commandments of the Most High to keep the traditions of man. It's the same thing. To love our neighbor, which means to have compassion, understanding, patience. If we lay aside love in order to be technical so much that it almost, and it does in some cases, or a lot of cases, turns the Torah, the perfect Torah, life, the instructions, into a curse. I had someone the other day, we were talking, me and this person. And that person was T.O. He was Torah observant. And I brought it up. We discussed clothing. He wears the proper, or the fabrics that is said that the Torah tells us to wear. They're not mixed, the material, right? And he pretty much said that he said that he chooses to wear that because he wants to show Abba that he's serious and that he loves him. And by wearing that, he proves to him his love, basically, in layman's terms. And he also said that because I do not wear clothing in that manner, that he has to question whether I'm in covenant with the Most High or not, because I do not, okay? And I told him that I wasn't knocking him for wearing that I actually had gained more respect for him because he considered the Most High and his instructions to the point of where he would wear only the fabrics without mixing that was prescribed in Torah. But what I gained from that conversation, and it has opened up my eyes to a great deal of things that I have been overlooking, and they have been right there the whole time. He said that he chooses to do that because he wants to prove to Abba that he loves him, right? So the technicalities of the Torah have become such a priority and paramount to him that love has sorta fell by the wayside. Because if that person loves me, loves his neighbor, he might have said, you know, this is what I do, this is my journey, my walk, and I feel that this is what I want to do and I need to do. And he wouldn't have suggested that I wasn't in covenant with the Most High because I choose not to wear that. And I never did say I didn't choose to not. I just said that it is something that I have been wondering about. I have been inquiring about, but you know, I haven't came to that yet, and so it made him question whether or not he questioned my intentions and motives if I could not discipline myself enough to only wear those things, okay? Yes, Torah observant people are so right to want to keep the instructions of the Most High, to want to call him by his name, even if that means they're calling him by the most accurate interpretation of his name that they have found. There is so much that they are on the mark about. But if you do not have love, what are you? You're like a banging cymbal. You're making noise, but you are not physically accomplishing a mission or fulfilling your obligations as your brother, as a son, a daughter, a father, or a friend. I see a lot in the Mish lacking in that one thing that the Christians do have, well, they make it appear to be something that they possess. But I like to call it as I see it. I have been in conversations with so many Christians that were sweet and kind and gentle. But when that conversation of the name of the Most High, the Torah being nailed to a tree, to a cross, when those conversations come up, I see that love that they campaign on disappear quick. I see vampire fangs come out, and anger and hatred and violence inflamed in their eyes, and their actions prove it. When they cuss you, someone that you thought that never cussed, will cuss you up one side and down the next, and leave without a explanation, without even a trying to edify. They just have a strange desire to want to cause you to not want to keep the instructions, to stop trying to say the Most High's name, and bring you to a spot, the spot that they're in, back to milk, away from solid food and maturity. But the TO people, they want to condemn. They want to play judge, and I'm not talking about judging righteously the acts of people. No, they want to judge an individual and condemn. They will mock and scoff, just like these Pharisees, behind one's back when they don't agree with you or they don't like you. The command to love your brother, the instruction to, love your neighbor, it disappears. It's like they want to keep the entire Torah, but they fail to keep the one that says you must love your neighbor. And they'll quote that to you. But when it comes time to apply it, it seems like they are nowhere in sight. They're just like those Christians. They tuck their tail and leave. I've seen a lot of people smearing people publicly on Facebook, on social media. They'll put pictures of people up and say, this person, watch out for him or her because this is what they're doing, and they'll show you their private messages and their comments, and we're not supposed to behave that way. If there's an issue that you have with a brother or sister, you're supposed to, and I've said this so many times, you're supposed to do what the Torah says. Take them to the side, privately, point it out, try to fix the problem that way. The proper, the righteous way, not drag them out like basically pulling the blanket off of Noah when he was drunk and naked so everyone could see his shame. We're not supposed to expose people and expose their shame. We're supposed to expose evil and wickedness. But if there's someone that is your brother or sister that's truly trying to live for the Most High, whether you think he is or her or not, whether you think they are or not, you're supposed to love them. And I'll tell you that being ignored by these people, falsely accused, pretending to accept you in their cliques if something is to be gained. But when there is nothing to be gained, they hightail it and you don't hear from them until something is to be gained once more. And, I felt the sharp end of the stick on that for a while now, and I've stayed longer than I should have. I've held out for them longer than I should have. And most people would have probably said adios a long time ago. And, call me naive and a fool if you want, but I love my brothers and sisters. I'm not going to say if they are in covenant or not because of what they wear or how they speak. Who am I to say that? I love them. I wish for no one to perish. I take pleasure in no one's error. I will confront privately according to Torah protocol, but I'm not out to shame anyone or throw anyone under the bus. And if that's what you are about, where is your love? Where is the Torah of love on your heart? It appears that your heart has been calloused to where it is hard as a stone. I'm not judging you and telling you you're condemned. I'm asking you as a brother would ask a brother, because I care and I love you. Where is your love, your compassion, your understanding? When you have an issue with someone, where's your understanding to try to understand how they have come up with their conclusion? Understand that, where they may have been, what they may have went through. And be patient and not expect perfection when you yourself are far from it. You know that none of us are going to cross that finish line having been perfected. We are not. And if you think you're more perfect than the next guy, you're definitely missing the mark. And you're way off. So what this is showing me is there are a lot of tears, more than what I had realized. Because if you are willing to drop love for your correct way of living and to show and boast about that, I have to wonder what your real motives are. And I don't want to make you feel bad or ridicule you. I want to help and reassure you that I love you, and I understand if you are going through trials or hardships, or maybe you made a decision out of haste, or you were having a bad day. I'm not going to just slam the hammer down on the judge's, desk and condemn you. I want to love you and try to help you. But a lot of the mesh, which now I look at that word in a whole new light now, and I am using it a lot more lightly, because If you're someone who doesn't have love in their heart, you are not my Mishpachah, nor are you Yasharal. Like I've said before, there will not be a bunch of people who are hard-hearted, lacking love and understanding, and ready to push someone under the bus because they don't keep the Shabbat just perfectly. Like Dawood, like Yahusha said about Dawood. He went and ate the bread, the showbread, which was not to be done, but he was starving. The people I'm talking about, they like to pretend that they would starve before they would have eaten that bread. But Yahusha said, just like the Sabbath, we are masters of the Shabbat. Do you really think that Abba Yahuwah would want you to starve? Like they like to say you're not supposed to kindle a fire on Shabbat. Do you really think Abba Yahuwah would want you to freeze to death? Because it's Shabbat. This is where the need for Yahusha is made clear. This was his most important achievement in my eyes, was he showed us the perfect way to obey Abba and to use his words of wisdom and his love and compassion the correct way. And what would the fruit be of that? We would love one another, our brothers and sisters, a lot more sincerely. We would actually know what the word love meant, and we would actually love people truly, not just with lip service. My use of the word mishpachah will be used a lot more lightly now. I am not saying that I am above this. I told you in the beginning, I'm guilty of this too. And I misconvey myself a lot where people will think that I'm exactly the same way that I will, condemn a Christian for wearing a cross around their neck. I know that's not right. I know that it's a graven image and that it should not be done. But if you come up, you're a Christian with one of those and you want to talk to me, I'm not going to tell you, first turn around, take that off your neck, and then come talk to me. No. I am not holier than thou, like most would like to believe they are. I am a man who has fell short, and through grace, I am forgiven, no doubt. But does that give me the ability, the right to do what I want and forget about Torah? No. Does Yahusha's death give me the green light to do what I want and forget about Torah? No. His life shows me how to fulfill Torah, not do away, fulfill it correctly, to love correctly. Just like he said, if a man looks at a woman with lust, he has committed adultery right there. But they like to say, if you commit adultery with a man's wife, If you have something like that in your heart, if you have hatred towards your brother and you think and have thoughts of murdering him, you are a murderer, whether you committed the act or not. And murderers will not be entering the kingdom. Only, like I said, only those who have love and who genuinely, sincerely, compassionately love their brothers and sisters and who wish for no one to perish. I love y'all, Mishpachah. Those who love, I love you. Those who ignore, those who do wrong and who have no intentions of understanding, who wants to push your skull into the ground with the heel of their boot, I still love you too. But reality is, the facts prove, the proof that is in the pudding proves that in your heart you are someone who the scripture says will not be entering the kingdom until, well, the Most High said he would remove those stone hearts and replace them with hearts of flesh. I don't see that now in a lot of those people who I would have never imagined would be that way. And I'll tell you, I'm victim, personally, of quite a bit of that. And I'm not going to lie and tell you that it didn't hurt my feelings or it didn't, cause me to feel like I was inadequate or I wasn't doing enough when that should have never crossed my mind. If you're doing something wrong and you're my brother, I will come to you. If you tell me that you're failing to keep the Shabbat, for example, on the correct day, I'm not going to tell you that you're not in covenant. I'll tell you, let's figure this out together and let's help one another. We are master of the Shabbat. It was made for us, not the other way around. I love y'all. To my true brothers and sisters who love me and have compassion and understanding towards me, I love all y'all, but to those people, I love you, Mishpachah. Shalom, shalom. Peace out. D is out.